Welcome to the Guilbault Girls Show, where you will have the opportunity to hear from mothers, fathers, siblings, and individuals themselves about their journey of living with a disability. I know, it's called Guilbault Girls, but we have a bonus for you as we get the Guilbault boys to interview some of the dads and siblings to get their perspectives too. We'll also have special guests from time to time to share the many resources that are available to those living with a disability and their families. So get ready to laugh, smile, cry, maybe even get a little angry when you hear some of those stories of their day-to-day struggles. But let's not forget their many triumphs. As they say, it takes a village, and if it weren't for our village, we wouldn't be where we are today. So join us. So your family grows once again with Glory. So can you share her story with us?
Yes. So Faith turned 1 September 18th, and then 1 month later, October. So October 9th, Glory was born. So I get a phone call from Brenda, my social worker, again, October 9th. And she said, Liz, we have another baby. Do you want her? And I said, yes. I want her. And she said, okay, she'll be ready for you to pick her up in 2 days. And I said, okay, sounds good. And so, I texted my husband at work. I said, we're going to get another baby. I'm so excited. So I got that call on Wednesday, October 9th, when she was born. So then I went and picked her up 2 days later on that Friday. And I had known from the social worker that they have done a family history, and they knew pretty early that she would go adoption. Because she had siblings already in care. Mm-hmm. But the goal is to keep siblings together.
Together if you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in my mind, I thought, okay, we'll have her for a couple of months. And then when that family's, ready to take her, they'll take her. So then when I went to the hospital to pick her up on that Friday, the nurses told me that her biological mother left right after she was born, because she knew how it worked and she knew she would not get her daughter. So, but poor Glory, she was a substance exposed baby, but she unfortunately could not get any medication to wean herself off of the drugs that her biological mom used. So Glory was an extremely tough baby. Mm-hmm. Just the drug of choice her biological mom used, she couldn't have any medication to wean herself off. So she had to wean herself off herself. Oh. So poor Glory, those first 5 months, Glory was either sleeping or screaming. There was no in between. And poor Glory, she would itch herself, and it broke our hearts just how much she was affected by this. But so when I went to the hospital to pick Glory up, the nurses were very honest and said, she's going straight adoption. And I said, oh, yeah, I know. But I think a family's going to be ready for her. But I found out, I picked her up on a Friday. I found out later on that day that the family who had her biological brothers, they were not in a position to continue to grow their family. So DSS, was very honest and said, listen, we know she's going adoption. She's yours if you want her. And I said, yes, I want her. I want her. So I literally texted Justin. I said, Justin, this baby's going adoption. She's ours. And we kind of knew how the system was working at that time. And Justin said, well, I can't wait to go home and meet her. Aww. So it was all just very fast how quickly it happened. So her plan changed very quickly to adoption. But then again, it was in the midst of COVID. So the courts were closed for several months. So we had to wait several months to finally adopt her. But her plan changed to adoption very quickly. And we knew she was not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. We just kind of had to be patient and wait until the courts opened up after COVID in order to adopt her. But we knew literally the day I brought her home, she was going adoption and we were the family that was adopting her. And it's so funny that foster and adoption world, it's always changing. There's always so much that goes on. So when we try to explain it to our families and friends, it's so confusing
Right.
because they're like, I would say, oh, yeah, we're adopting Glory. But some people would say, well, how do you know? So, well, it's so like, it's just such a interesting world once you
Yes.
understand all of it. So we knew very, very early, right when we brought Glory home, that she was going adoption. But I had always thought she might have some challenges because her those first couple of months were just very hard for her.
Hmm.
So I did think, oh, she could have some delays, because things are just not how it was for Faith.
Faith, right.
Faith, she had no delays, hit all of her milestones early, but Glory just was very different.
Hmm.
And I met Glory's biological mom one time. So Glory was 2 weeks old, and I met her biological mom one visit with the social worker. And after that one visit, I did not hear from her, and neither did DSS. I think Glory's biological mom wanted to meet me, and Glory's biological mom had about 20 questions for me in that one visit. She wanted to know me, my husband, my family. I showed her pictures of our family, and she let me know her favorite food. She let me know the food that she ate during her pregnancy. It was just a very easy 1 hour visit. And I was so happy that she got to know me. I got to know her. And I will tell you, she asked me one question and she said, if she has autism, what will you do? And when she asked that, I I thought that was an odd question to ask, but I told her, I said, "Oh, well, my daughter Joy was diagnosed with anxiety and OCD at the age of 7. We started therapy. She started getting the help and the treatment that she needed after that diagnosis. I said, if she is diagnosed with anything, I'll do the same. Will do doctor's appointments, therapy, whatever she's diagnosed with, I'll do whatever." So I wasn't like I already have a child who was diagnosed, so I'm very proactive when it comes to that.
Right.
So I did want her to know, listen, Joy's already was diagnosed, so if God forbid Glory's diagnosed with something, I'll do whatever it needs, we need
Yeah.
to do. But looking back, because Glory was finally diagnosed with autism when she was 21 months through Kennedy Krieger Autism Center. And that same day she was diagnosed, I thought about that conversation. I thought, how interesting that her biological mom asked this exact question. So, and with autism, I'm 40. When I was young, we didn't have that word. We didn't
Right.
say that word autism. So it just was so interesting to me that her biological mom asked that question. And now Gloria is 4 and she was diagnosed with autism at 21 months. So I always thought that was just so
Yeah. Bizarre.
interesting
Like,
that,
yeah.
that was asked.
Yeah. What, so I know both Faith and Glory have very similar backstories when it comes to their biological mothers. Would you be willing to share more about that?
Yes. So both Faith and both Glory, they so Faith was our first foster placement and Glory was our second foster placement. And they both went adoption. And even our social worker said, she has now retired, but she said, I've been working here for 30 years. I've never seen this. I've never seen someone's first two placements go adoption. So I remember she said, God plucked these two and gave them to you
To
and
you.
Justin. But so both Faith and both Glory, both of their biological moms, just were young women, who, um, were substance exposed. They both were, living that lifestyle. And but the more I got to know about substance exposed use, it really let me think about you're just using that from maybe a childhood that was traumatic.
Yep.
So I know that they were only doing what they thought they could to just numb whatever feelings that they were going through and just to keep on going with this very hard life they both had. But both Faith and Glory's biological moms, um, both Faith and Glory's biological dads were unknown.
Okay.
So Harford County DSS, they did the research, they put an ad in the paper, they questioned people. But so on record, both of their biological fathers are unknown. So 3 years ago, Faith's biological mom passed away. And when I got that phone call, I cried for 6 days straight. I could not wrap my mind around this. I had like a fantasy in my mind that Faith's biological mom would heal and she would be able to see Faith grow, and we would have this life together that they've kind of shared in the classes. Like, because, that's the goal. The goal is for adoptive families and biological families to come alongside of each other and support the child together in a healthy way. So when I found out Faith's biological mom passed away, I could not stop crying. I was just so sad. And then literally 2 weeks later, I get a phone call and say that Glory's biological mom passed away. And again, I was so sad. And I said to the social worker, I said, I need to talk to another foster mom. What other foster mom has gone through this, that has lost a biological parent of their child? Like, I need to talk to someone. And at that time, the social worker said, I can't think of anyone. I don't know. So I did meet with my pastor because I really had just this unexplainable grief.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would talk to some people about it, some people didn't understand. Like, how are you grieving this much? You weren't close to them. Like, you didn't see them.
Like
You weren't.
you're grieving for your babies that lost their biological mom.
Yes, I I just loved these women so much, and I loved my two girls so much, and I just was so sad that this was the outcome of their life, that they both passed away. But then, after I talked to my pastor, and after it took me many, many months to heal and to like start talking about it, I just realized this was not about me. Like, I wanted this life of them to get healthy and come alongside of me. But it really resonated with me. This life was so hard for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be hard for them to, every birthday, every holiday that would come, they want to be with their biological daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So it really dawned on me, this life would be too hard for them to continue. And me sending pictures of them, of how good their biological daughters were doing, that would be just a wound that would just keep on reopening and reopening. So I really, really had to dig deep in my faith to know I had to accept that this was part of the plan for them to unfortunately pass away. But I am just so thankful that they both chose life for both of their girls. They didn't have to, and they did. So they truly are just two of my heroes. And I love them both so much that they birthed both Faith and Glory.
Now, did you have any contact or any relationship with Glory's grandparents or anything like that?
No, I did meet her biological grandmother one time, but she was not in a place to be available to get her, because she couldn't get her other grandkids that were already in care.
Okay.
So she unfortunately just was not able to provide in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I am so thankful that I got that one visit with Glory's biological mom,
Mm-hmm.
just so I met her and she kind of shared with me her favorite foods and it was so funny. There was one visit I had with Faith's biological mom, and I forgot to give Faith breakfast at the time. So I said, oh, I'll bring it with us and she can, Faith's biological mother could feed her breakfast. So I brought Faith a banana and strawberry yogurt. And Faith's biological mom brought that same exact breakfast for her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're both eating, they're both eating the same thing
Yeah.
for breakfast. And even like Faith's biological mom told me she liked green beans. Green beans is Faith's favorite
Favorite.
vegetable. And even Glory's biological mom said that she loved Chinese food. Glory loves Chinese
Chinese
food.
food.
So it's
Yeah.
just those little pieces
Things.
of
Mhm.
information that I have about their biological mom that I'm so happy that I had,
Yeah.
that I had this, because there's still to this day, there's questions that I have. Um, and I may never know those answers. So
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that I met both of them. And I'm so thankful that they both said yes to this pregnancy. And I'm so glad that I met both of them.
Yeah. So how old, as of today, how old are all of the kids? They're
Okay. So my oldest, Hope, is 16
16.
and Joy is 15.
Okay.
Luke is 11. Faith is 5 and Glory is 4.
Okay.
And I will tell you, so after when Faith's plan changed to adoption, we knew Glory would go adoption. We did talk to like Hope, Joy, and Luke. And because again, we were not planning on adopting. And when we said, what do you guys think with us adopting? And those three were just they all had a very similar response. They said, well, we thought we were going to adopt them. Why wouldn't
Mhm.
we?
Yeah.
So I've talked to some other families who have adopted, and it can be a struggle for their biological children and the adopted children to connect and attach. And I I take for granted so much just how natural it has been for us.
Hmm.
So Faith truly is our fourth baby. Glory is truly our fifth baby. You would not know that adoption happened for Faith.
Right. Right.
Like you and Glory, you would know just because she is African American.
Hmm.
But they just the natural dynamic that all the kids have, it really is a miracle.
Yeah.
We are so blessed that there's no division.
Hmm.
Um, so I am just Justin and I are so thankful for that yes, we adopted our two younger ones, but you would just never know because our family just is so well
A
connected that
well-oiled machine.
yes, yes.
So what is okay, so how many kids have you fostered in the last 6 years? And you are you open to still fostering or just respite?
Okay, so we have been a licensed foster home for 6 years, and we have had over 15 kids come into our house. Most of them are zeroed to two. So we've had 15. Um, we are open to have another baby come. We so in Maryland, once you hit the number 6,
Six.
you cannot um, adopt adopt anymore. Like 6 is like the number that they stick to. So we have one foster slot available. So we do believe we will not adopt anymore because we want to have that one foster slot available
Mm-hmm.
to foster. So if they call us for a baby, we will say yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. I love that first year. I just love that baby face. But for now, like I said, the past 2 years, we've just done a lot of respite, and I love respite too. So
Yeah.
that has been very good for our family just to, and again, like even like my 2 teens, I do want them to know like in life, it's not all about us.
Mm-hmm.
Like we will sacrifice certain things when we foster, when we respite, but there's beauty that
In
comes
that.
with, being sacrificing your time and not living a selfish life.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, so we are still opened. We're still licensed. So yes, so we, I just love fostering.
So, for someone who's considering becoming a foster parent, what would you want them to know? Is there one thing that you wish someone would have told you before fostering, whether, the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Well, so with fostering, the goal is reunification. And that can be very hard
Hard.
because it's a very emotional process. Um, but in Maryland, we are a reunification state. So I do think there are some foster parents who may come into it wanting to adopt. And we did not. We did not come into it wanting to adopt. So it was such a beautiful surprise when both our girls went adoption. Um, so that can be very hard for foster parents when you might think a case is going adoption, and then and truly in the 11th hour, a blood relative comes forward. And every time that blood relative will trump a foster parent. And
Mhm.
that, oh, even saying it, that's very hard. It's
Yeah.
very hard as a foster parent to accept. But that's the way that foster care works.
Hmm.
Um, but I, fostering just opened up my eyes to love and unconditional love. I lived a very sheltered life growing up. So did my husband. So when we started fostering, we just saw a different world that we both did not know
No.
growing up.
Hmm.
So just getting to know Faith's biological mom, Faith's biological grandmother, it just really dawned on me just how not everyone has it easy.
Hmm.
And I'm so thankful that they can say their experience with the system was a healthy one, because not every experience is a healthy
Healthy one.
situation.
Hmm.
Um, so it can be hard for foster parents because if you want to adopt, you do want that plan to go adoption. And if it doesn't, there's a lot of emotions, a lot of disappointment. And thankfully, we've had placements that have gone to a healthy family member. And I still get pictures, I still get updates on them. So that is so good. But not every child may go to a healthy situation. So it can be just a very emotional
Roller
process.
coaster. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I got a plaque that said, God's timing is the perfect timing. And because over COVID, I was just so sad. Like, oh my gosh, the courts are closed. Like, we were supposed to adopt Faith that March. So COVID hit March 15th,
Hmm.
and we were supposed to adopt Faith March 17th. So courts closed that Monday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we were supposed to have court in 2 days. So we had to wait a whole another year before we could adopt Faith. So that whole time over COVID, I just was like, oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. But God's timing is perfect.
Yeah.
And in the moment, when things happen in the time frame we don't want them to, we don't think that.
Uh-huh.
So looking back, it really has let me know God's timing is perfect.
Yeah.
So it just allowed our family more time to connect, more time to grow together. Um, COVID was so good for our family just because Faith was 18 months, Glory was 6 months, and Hope and Joy were in middle school. So even Hope and Joy say they were never bored over COVID. There
I'm
was
sure.
always something to do. Faith wanted to play with them. Glory wanted to play with them. I loved it because
Uh-huh.
we all just, that time together just was so good for our family.
Yeah,
So
definitely bonded. So before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to share or any advice you want to give?
So, so with Glory having autism, I, after she was diagnosed with autism, because she still wasn't adopted at the time, the social worker said, "All right, are you still going to adopt her? What do you want to do?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, yes, she's my daughter. Like not by the state of Maryland, but she is my daughter." So when she was diagnosed with autism, Kennedy Krieger told us she had to start ABA therapy, OT, speech, all of the therapy for her just to kind of get to the best place for her. But I really grieved that autism diagnosis for many, many months. And I remember, like, I told my husband, Justin, I said, I don't want to be a special needs mom. I didn't sign up for this. So God really had to work on me. Um, I, he, like, I remember thinking to myself, I said yes to faith. And now, will I not say yes to Glory because she has autism? So God really did a very deep work in me. And for months, I was grieving her diagnosis and I just was sad thinking, this is going to be my life.
Mhm.
Like when Justin retires, we're going to always have Glory. Like I was really having a very, unfortunately, long woe is me moment for
Mhm.
months. And my husband, Justin, was like, what are you talking about? Like, Liz, Glory has given our family, Glory has shown our family so much through her diagnosis. We have seen our four older children, Hope, Joy, Luke, Faith, show Glory love in a way that we would have never seen if Glory wasn't diagnosed with autism.
Mhm.
Justin and I have gotten closer in our marriage because of Glory's autism. So I really had to start praying, Lord, help me see Glory the way that you see her. Give
Mhm.
me new eyes, give me a fresh attitude. I needed that attitude adjustment very fast. And I am so thankful because now with Glory at 4, there is beauty in this lifestyle. There
Mhm.
is beauty in autism. There is beauty in being a special needs mom.
Mhm.
And 2 years ago, I would not have said that. I was
Mhm.
still in my own pity party that
Mhm.
this was happening. But
Mhm.
now God truly has given me eyes to see Glory and given me um, a life that is just beautiful with autism. I am not overwhelmed by her diagnosis anymore. I am truly learning just to take life day by
A
day.
day.
Um,
Mhm.
because I have a very type A personality. I need to keep seeing growth. I need to keep seeing goals. And for Glory with autism, her milestones and growth take a lot longer.
Longer. Mhm.
And I have had to accept that and see the beauty in that.
Mhm. Yep.
Um,
And you're gonna have periods too where you're gonna grieve all over again at different ages. And because that's what I've
yes.
been faced now, 20. And it's like, oh my gosh, there's times where it just hits you. It's like, oh yeah.
Uh, yes, yes. And I remember Justin said to me, the day of diagnosis, Justin said, Glory is the same girl she was yesterday and the same girl she is today. Like for Justin, it was just so simple. It
Hmm.
wasn't, he wasn't even phased by it. But for me, I just had a lot of deep grief that I had to work through.
Mm-hmm.
And God really has done a lot in my life to get to a place now to where I look at Glory the way that God wants me to look at her.
Mm-hmm.
So I am so, I never would have thought I would say I'm so thankful to be a special needs mom and for autism to be a part of our family. But God has done such a tremendous work in our family. And I would not see certain characteristic traits out of my older kids, out of my husband, if Glory wasn't diagnosed with autism.
Right.
So I am just so thankful for the support that our family has gotten so close through fostering, through adoption.
Mm-hmm.
So I am so thankful for both fostering and adoption so much.
Oh, I love your story. I love it.
Thank you.
So, as a token of appreciation for being a guest on the show, I gift all my guests with my intent token where I stamp their word one letter at a time into the token and put it on a bracelet
No.
or a keychain. So, with that being said, what would be the one word that's most meaningful, or, it could be any word, a word that you can look at every day for you to be reminded of?
Okay. Love.
Love. And why
Love.
would you choose love?
Um, God has just shown me unconditional love through my husband, through all of my kids, through this whole journey. So just the love that um God has allowed me to give to both Faith and Glory has just been unexplainable. So I I love this life that God has given me. So I'm so thankful for it.
Aww. Well, I love that. And on a side note, we're actually getting ready to do a Bible study called When God Doesn't Fix It by
Mm,
Laura Story.
mm,
So I'll talk to you about that after if you want to join us, because there's going to be
yes.
a few special needs parents that are going to be doing it. So
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
So I want to thank you
oh,
so much for
oh,
coming on the
thank
show
you.
today and for opening up and sharing your journey. Because I just think it's so important. It takes a village, and we need to
Mm.
always be connecting with one another. And so thank you so much. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
thank
And I
you.
appreciate
Thank
you.
you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank
You're
you.
welcome. Okay, everybody, till next time, we'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us as we spread awareness through our personal stories and the many resources shared. You can help us by joining our village simply by sharing our show with the masses. You can also become a supporter of the show by clicking on the link in the show notes. Your funds will allow us to keep sharing these valuable, heartfelt stories and resources. Be sure to subscribe to our Guilbault Girls podcast and YouTube show, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Guilbault Girls.